What a great turnout. And my thanks to the many hundreds who couldn't get in. Let me thank DJ Tremont Frank. Let me thank Delaney Vandergrift. Let me thank Jaden Clark. Let me thank Todd Warren. Let me thank Dr. Larry Little. And let me thank my old friend, Keith Ellison, Attorney General of Minnesota. Keith and I were in Congress together for many, many years. He's now one of the great attorneys general in this country. Keith, thanks for all you're doing. And what can we say about Senator Nina Turner? See, what Senator Turner is doing is not just being an active part of our campaign. She's been running all over this country, doing the most important thing that can be done, getting working people, getting young people involved in the political process, standing up and fighting for justice. Senator Turner, thank you. Our campaign is basically about two things. Number one, together, we will defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. The American people understand that we will not have 4 more years of a pathological liar. We will not have 4 more years of a corrupt administration. We will not have 4 more years of a president who is undermining American democracy and is somebody who has no respect for the Constitution of the United States. The American people, regardless of their political views, understand we cannot have someone in the White House who is a racist, who is a sexist, who is a homophobe, who is a xenophobe, and who is a religious bigot. And those are his good qualities. The American people also understand that Donald Trump is a fraud. See, in 2016, he campaigned in North Carolina, all over this country, and he said, I'm going to stand with working people. I'm going to take on the establishment. He lied. 2016, Trump said, I'm going to provide health care to everybody. But he tried to throw 32 million Americans off the health care they have. 2016, Trump said, hey, I'm not going to cut Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security. He lied. His budgets call for massive cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. 2016, Trump said, my tax plan not going to benefit billionaires like me. He lied. 83% of the benefits of his proposal over 10 years went to the top 1%. Donald Trump wants us to hate the undocumented. Oh, they're terrible people, says Donald Trump. But as a private businessman, you may recall, Donald Trump hired hundreds of undocumented workers so he could exploit them. Donald Trump said, oh, it's a terrible thing for companies to outsource American jobs to low-wage countries. But as a businessman, he had factories in China, in India, in Turkey, in Mexico, in Bangladesh, paying workers starvation wages. We are going to defeat Trump. Because the American people are demanding all over this country, and I've been from California, East Coast, all over. The American people want a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. The American people are sick and tired of a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality. They're tired of 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society. They're tired of tax breaks for billionaires when 500,000 Americans are sleeping out on the street tonight. They're tired of a nation in which half of our people, and I grew up in this family, are living paycheck to paycheck. They're tired of starvation wages while the rich get richer. The American people are also tired of a corrupt political system in which billionaires are buying elections. When we talk about democracy, it means one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. And that is why we're going to overturn Citizens United. It is why we are going to end voter suppression in this country. You know, if Republicans want to run on their agenda of giving tax breaks to billionaires and cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, and environmental protection, let them vote on that record and let them lose. But don't tell people of color, don't tell young people that they cannot participate in the political process. In America, if you are 18 years of age and you're a citizen of this country, you are eligible to vote. End of discussion. Now, the reason we won the caucus in Iowa, the reason we won the New Hampshire primary, the reason we won the Nevada caucus, the reason we're going to win here in North Carolina is because we have the strongest grassroots movement of any campaign in modern American history. Not only here in North Carolina or South Carolina, but all over this country, we have knocked on many, many, many hundreds of thousands of doors. We've made millions of phone calls. We don't need billionaire help to win this election. We've got the people. I don't have a super PAC funded by billionaires. We don't want a super PAC. I don't go to wealthy people's homes to raise money. We have the support of working families all across this country. I am enormously proud to tell you that we have received more campaign contributions from more Americans at this point in a campaign than any campaign in the history of American politics. As someone who grew up in a working class family, somebody who lived in a rent-controlled apartment for all of my childhood, I am proud to tell you, this is a campaign of the working class, by the working class, and for the working class. This is the campaign that is going to tell Wall Street and the insurance companies and the drug companies and the fossil fuel industry and the prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex that this country belongs to all of us, not just them. Now, you know, the establishment, in case you haven't noticed, they're getting very nervous. They're saying, oh my God, what's happening? Workers are standing up, demanding decent wages. Young people are standing up because they don't want to leave college $50,000 in debt. All over this country, people understand that health care is a human right, not a privilege. Young people are saying, you know what? We want our kids and grandchildren to grow up on a planet that is healthy and habitable. We got to combat climate change. So the establishment is getting very, very nervous. The establishment's line lately is, oh, Bernie, he can't beat Donald Trump. Can't beat Trump. Well, you know what? We are the strongest campaign to defeat Donald Trump. Because we have the energy and we have the excitement. We are going to bring working class people, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American, into the political process. And we're going to bring young people out to vote in a way this country has never seen before. So for all those people who say Bernie can't beat Trump, take a look at the last 50 national polls. Bernie beats him 47 out of 50. Take a look at some of the battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Bernie beats Trump. Take a look at a poll that just came out this morning in Pennsylvania. Bernie is the only Democrat to beat Trump in Pennsylvania. So don't tell me Bernie can't beat Trump. We're going to beat him. We're going to beat him here in North Carolina. We're going to beat him all over this country. And I will tell you why we're going to beat him. It's not only our grassroots movement. It is also our agenda. And our agenda is saying that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we are sick and tired of workers earning starvation wages. Let us be clear. Nobody in America makes it on $7.25 an hour. You don't make it on $9 an hour. You don't make it on $10 an hour. We're going to raise that minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. We are sick and tired of women making 80 cents, women of color making 50 cents on the dollar. Not a radical idea to say that women earn the same as men for the work they do. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. What we're going to do is make it easier for workers to join unions. Because if you're a worker and you want decent wages, you want decent benefits, you're going to have to be in a union to negotiate good wages and benefits. That's what we need. And we've got a proposal in that will double union membership in this country. And it is absolutely unacceptable to me, by the way, that here in North Carolina, you have the lowest rate of unionization in the country. And we're going to change that. And right now, some 2,000 nurses at Mission Health in Asheville are standing up for their patients and their profession. Thank you, nurses. And they are forming a union with National Nurses United. And I applaud those courageous nurses, and I urge the Hospital Corporation of America that owns Mission Health to treat their nurses with respect and dignity and stop union busting in that hospital. And we are going to create millions of good-paying jobs, good-paying union jobs, by rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. We got roads and bridges, water systems, wastewater plants that must be rebuilt. And you know what else we got to do? I am tired of 500,000 Americans sleeping out on the street tonight. And that includes 30,000 veterans who put their lives on the line to defeat us. I am tired of 18 million Americans spending half of their income putting a roof over their heads. You shouldn't spend 50% of your income for housing. That's why we're going to build 10 million units of affordable and low-income housing. And the reason we're going to win this election is we believe in education. 0 through 4 are the most important years of human development. And that is why we're going to have universal, high-quality, affordable child care for all. And we believe that all of our kids, regardless of income, deserve a high-quality public education. And that is why we're going to triple funding for low-income Title I school districts all across this America. And I say to the young people here, we need great teachers in America. There is no profession more important than being a teacher, which is why we are going to fight to make sure that no teacher in America earns less than $60,000 a year. We need more black teachers. We need more Latino teachers. We need more special ed teachers. And I hope that many of the young people here, people in HBCUs or whatever, will give serious thought to teaching. The children of this country need you. We need you. Give thought to becoming a teacher. And when we talk about education, we understand that in the year 2020, it is not good enough to talk about public education being kindergarten through 12th grade. That used to be okay, not anymore. Together we're going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And if you're good with your hands and you don't want to go to college, we're going to make trade schools tuition free. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. All right, you asked, I'll tell you. 12 years ago, Congress, against my vote, bailed out the crooks on Wall Street. 2 years ago, Trump and his friends gave $1 trillion in tax break to large corporations in the 1%. Well, if they could bail out billionaires and crooks, we can cancel all student debt in America. And when we talk about issues facing the American people, let us be clear. It is an international embarrassment. We are the only major country on earth, the only one, not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. We are going to change that because health care is a human right, not a privilege. It is not a radical idea to say that when you get sick, you should be able to go to the doctor no matter what your income is. So right now, I want you all to hear this. Right now, under this dysfunctional system, we are spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. You got that? Twice as much. We're spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child. And yet, despite this huge expenditure, 87 million people are either uninsured or underinsured. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. At least 30,000 people in America every year die because they don't get to a doctor when they should because they're uninsured. And if you want to hear about the cruelty of a system, hear this. 500,000 people go bankrupt because of medically related debt. You know what that means? It means that you're suffering from cancer. You're suffering from a bad heart. You're suffering from Alzheimer's. You got enough to worry about trying to get well, and yet because of outrageous medical bills, you go bankrupt or your family is in financial ruin. That is an outrage. We're going to end that here in America. Now, while so many of our people are uninsured or underinsured, last year the healthcare industry made $100 billion in profits. So today we say to the insurance companies and the drug companies, the function of a rational healthcare system is to guarantee healthcare to all, not to make billions of dollars in profit for the healthcare industry. And that is why together we are going to stand up to the healthcare industry and pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. We have talked about universal health care in this country since the early 1900s with Teddy Roosevelt, going all the way to Barack Obama. 100 years of talk is enough. Now is the time for action. And I want you all to know what Medicare for all means. Not a radical idea. It means no more premiums, no more copayments, no more deductibles, no more out-of-pocket expenses. Health care is a human right, not a privilege. We're going to bring that to the United States of America. Now, we got a president who thinks that climate change is a hoax. Well, I believe that Donald Trump is a hoax. And I will listen to the scientists, not right-wing extremists. And what the scientists are telling us is if we don't get our act together in the next few years, the planet that we will be leaving to our kids and future generations will be increasingly unhealthy and uninhabitable. The scientists are telling us they have underestimated the speed and severity in which climate change is wreaking havoc on this planet. So our message to the fossil fuel industry is whether you like it or not, we are going to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. The future of this planet is more important than the short-term profits of the oil industry. Now, Donald Trump thinks he's going to win re-election by trying to divide our people up. That's his strategy. We all know that. He wants to divide us up by the color of our skin, by where we were born, by our religion, by our sexual orientation, even by our gender. We are going to defeat Trump because we are bringing our people together, not dividing them up. And one way we bring our people together is by ending a racist and broken criminal justice system. And I want everybody to hear this. Today, we have more people in jail, disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American, than any other country on earth. China is an authoritarian communist country 4 times our size. We got more people in jail than China does. What we are going to do together We're going to work together on this issue. But we are going to invest in our young people, in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. It costs more money to put somebody in jail than to send them to the University of North Carolina. Well, I want to send them to the University of North Carolina, not let them rot in jail. So what we have got to do is end cash bail in this country. Do you all know that today 400,000 people are in jail having been convicted of nothing? Do you all know that? Well, how is somebody in jail today who has not been convicted of anything? They're in jail because they cannot afford cash bail. Well, if you're rich and you're convicted, you get out of jail. If you're poor and you can't afford $500, you stay in jail. We're going to end cash bail in America. We are going to end private prisons and detention centers. Corporations should not be making money locking up fellow Americans. And I'll tell you what else we're going to end. We're going to end the so-called war on drugs. On day one, there are some things as president you could do through executive order, some things you need legislation. Well, turns out that one of the things you could do by executive order is to legalize marijuana in every state in the country. All right, I got a question here. How many people know somebody who was arrested for possession of marijuana? This is what the war on drugs has done in this country. And that is why we are going to move to expunge the records of those who are arrested on marijuana. I don't want some kid going out looking for a job not to be able to get that job because they have a criminal record for having possessed marijuana. Let's expunge those records. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. This is not my idea. This came from some friends in the African American and Latino community. What they said is, okay, that's great. We're going to legalize marijuana all over the country, and that's going to happen. But we don't want a handful of corporations to be profiting from the legalization of marijuana. We want those communities, the African American, Latino, Native American communities that have been hit the hardest by the war on drugs, to be able to profit from the legalization of marijuana. And that is why we're going to invest in those communities, help those communities profit when we legalize marijuana all over this country. And by the way, this administration together is going to look like America. In all of our beauty, in all of our diversity. Now, when you turn on the TV and you look at our cabinet, I guarantee you there will be at least one old white guy there. But the rest of the cabinet will look like America looks like. And when we talk about the form, what we have to do to transform this country, we have got to deal with a very broken and racist immigration system. I am the son of an immigrant. My father came to this country without a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak a word of English, had very little education. I will not accept the continuation of the demonization of the undocumented in this country. On day one, we will restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for DACA. On day one, we end a border policy which allows federal agents to yank little babies from the arms of their mothers. And our administration will do what the American people want us to do, and that is to pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. All of us, no matter what our political views may be, are disgusted and horrified by the level of gun violence in America. And let me simply say this: our gun policy will be written by and for the American people, not the NRA. Now, Trump and the Republicans may be intimidated by the NRA. I will not be intimidated by the NRA. And whether they like it or not, we will have universal background checks. Whether they like it or not, we're going to do away with the gun show loophole. And whether they like it or not, we're going to ban the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Now, I'm a United States senator, and as a senator, I hear a whole lot of speeches on the floor. And many of my Republican conservative colleagues, they talk about their belief in small government, their belief in getting the government off the backs of the American people. I say to those hypocrites, if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have the right to control their own bodies, not the government. And my promise to you is I will never nominate anyone to the U.S. Supreme Court who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. We will codify Roe v. Wade, put it into law. Trump and his friends want to cut funding for Planned Parenthood. We're going to expand funding for Planned Parenthood. And guys, men, women now are under political assault. Now is the time for men to stand with the women. Bottom line here is not complicated. It is women who have the right to control their bodies, not the government. So, here we are in the beginning of the most consequential election in the modern history of this country. And on Tuesday, Super Tuesday, you're going to be voting here in North Carolina. I'm here today to ask not only for your support, but to ask you to bring out your friends and your family and your co-workers. I'm asking you to help create the largest voter turnout in the history of the North Carolina primary. I'm asking you to help me win here, to win the nomination, and to defeat Trump. But I'm asking something more of you than that. I'm asking you to be with me the day after we are inaugurated, so that we can begin the process of transforming this country and creating an economy and a government that works for all of us. Decent wages for our workers, educational opportunity for all of our people, health care as a human right, transforming our energy system to tackle climate change, ending a racist and broken criminal justice system, fundamental immigration reform, sane gun policy, and protecting a woman's right to control her body. Now, let me say this. As a senator, I know the power of the 1%. They have endless amounts of money. They control Wall Street and the insurance companies and the drug companies and the fossil fuel industry. The 1% is enormously powerful. But last time I heard, 99% is a heck of a larger number than 1%. So if we stand together and not let Trump divide us up, if we stand together around an agenda that works for all, not only will we defeat Trump, we're going to transform this country. Let us go forward together. Thank you.